my calculations are correct, when this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
They're here.
Do you really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
It's showtime.
Right, welcome everybody to another episode of the VHS Strikes Back. I am one of your hosts, Chris Phelps, and my co-host and very good friend is Mr. Dave Horrocks.
Hey there, Chris, and hello to our listeners out there. Welcome to the VHS Strikes Back, the show where we dust off the old video player and go on a nostalgic journey to look at the good and the bad movies of yesteryear. Now, Chris, what are we going to review this week?
Well, Dave, one of our amazing patrons, Maths, we threw out the bat signal. What are you going to pick for us, my friend? He did have the Goonies on there, and he did say on Discord, I don't want Chris to go anywhere near it. I'm just a bit worried about what he's going to do. So he picked 3 movies, and this was the one he ended up deciding on. This is a 1985 sci-fi action drama, Dave, apparently. Enemy Mine, starring Dennis Quaid and Louis Gossett Jr., which I didn't even realise until I've just read that out. It was Louis Gossett Jr. So unfucking believable. So where did you first see this one, Dave?
Hand on heart, I can't remember the first time I saw it, but I had this on tape, and it was one of those movies. I watched this quite a lot, and when I think back, I think in the 80s, I mean, you had so many kind of Star Wars spin-offs. I think more than anything, more than any other franchise, more than the comics, and the superheroes and all that stuff, I loved Star Wars. And I watched a lot of these kind of Star Wars inspired kind of movies and stuff, and to be honest, Chris, most of them were pretty shit. I ended up watching this one, and again, it's kind of that world, that sci-fi adventure, but I never really loved it. It wasn't one of those, when I used to watch New Hope on a loop, pretty much, I'd love every bit of it and all the different bits of the story. And then when they get their medals at the end, apart from Chewie, I'm ready to go back and I'm ready to start off the adventure again at the beginning, which annoyed my parents no end. But for this one, this was more like a Sunday afternoon. It's like, right, I've done Star Wars to death and all the other movies. I'll watch this one. And so I must have seen this definitely north of 10 times, easily. I mean, when you're a kid, Chris, you've just got so much free time, haven't you? It's raining outside. Let's watch this. So, yeah, I've seen this lots of times, and I couldn't remember everything about it, but as soon as I started watching it, it all came flooding back. Now, I know the answer, but what about you, Chris?
Let me just say this. I am questioning our friendship now, because some of these absolute disgrace movies that we've had to cover, you have actually watched numerous times, Dave, and this is another one. I have never heard of this thing ever. Honestly, never heard of it, never wanted to see it. It's got an E.T. rip-off sort of VHS cover. Yeah, never seen it. Unbelievable. This is the first time seeing it, obviously 36 years later, as a 42-year-old man. Even in the 80s, Dave, I would not have watched this fucking garbage. And I'm going in there straight away. And you ask me, am I going to say it? This movie is fucking shit, Dave. Absolutely awful. I've been saving it for a few weeks, but my word, I cannot wait to talk about this effort. And the fact that it made 12 million at the box office, Dave, off a budget of 29 million. I'm not sure where the other 28.5 million went, because he was definitely not on this fucking script, effects, anything. I'm not having
it. Well, part of it, and it actually, if you factor in all of the marketing that they pumped in to actually get this to the box office, it cost them over 40 million.
Wow.
Last week, you actually quite enjoyed Aliens, and, it stood up pretty well. What was it? It cost something like 18 million or something like that. 18.5, I think it might have been. And this one, you're looking at, it's like 30 million, and like, how does that work? Because the way it looks, this looks more like an early 80s sci-fi movie to me, whereas Aliens looks more like, you know, it's well, like we say, most of it stands up pretty well today. So, and you can only tip your hat to like James Cameron and all his like team that basically set that up, because it looks so great. But for this one, it kind of got made twice. So originally the story was from this novella, so it's actually like a 79 story, you know, and it's a little story about, you know, this human pilot, and then, you know, meeting up with this alien that he's at war with. It's basically what became the story. So that's why I say it's definitely kind of, you know, Star Wars themed. But they had what was his name? Richard Longcrane, and he'd done stuff like Brimstone and Treacle, and basically he'd done a load of shooting in Iceland and Budapest, and the producers just didn't like it. So he ended up getting fired, but he'd already pretty much spent the budget. He'd spent about $18 million, and it gets back to the producers, and they're like, well, this is shit. So what is your lineage like, actually, Chris? Do you have any Hollywood producer in your ancestry?
No, Dave. No. It's a simple fucking answer. No.
But yeah, so basically they got Wolfgang Petersen in, and he probably said words to the effect of, "I can't polish a turd," but what he actually said was, you know, he's not the kind of director who can jump on a plane and finish someone else's work. Now the actors and stuff, they were all on these pay or play contracts, so it basically means they get a nice big fat paycheck whether the movie gets made or not. So, you know, you've got these guys like, do you want to shoot it again, or, you know, or we have to shoot it again? It's like, great, you know, they've been sitting around while and getting paid while they're sorting the contracts out with Wolfgang Petersen and stuff. So it's a massive budget, but it's not reflected on the screen. And yeah, so when you look at what it collected at the box office, you'd have to say it's a massive commercial failure.
Yeah, big time. I have read, though, Dave, and I'm not only literally reading it through my notes, and you've probably seen it, it's a sleeper hit in Soviet Union, because it was the first Western movie released in the theatres, so, or sci-fi movie, so it's a bit of a following. Unbelievable. But I think when you've got something like this and it's down to failure, and you're right, I do think it sits early 80s. I almost think we're looking at an episode of Buck Rogers or Battlestar Galactica. Yeah. You know, some of the, especially at the start, there's some really terrible effects at the start. And then as it goes on, and I can't say they get any better, but it's not noticeable. At the start is really, really sort of like, oh my, I need to adjust my eyes. It's not like that HD one where it goes into standard edition and you're like, oh, God, that looks terrible. You know, they filmed it on a potato. It's just the actual effects are really choppy for me.
Filmed it on a potato?
Yeah, potatoes, they always say. Filmed on a potato.
So, I think it's the animation, isn't it? I mean, it looks nowhere near the levels of like Star Wars, you know, which was produced in 77. It looks so bad. But the makeup and everything, the practical effects, I think look pretty good. You know, if you look at, like, Louis Gossett Jr., he's made up pretty well. He looks alien-like. You only just fucking found out who's him.
Dave, look, everyone has an opinion, but I fucking do not agree on that opinion. It looks like fucking George Peppard's got a fucking gear on doing a Hannibal Smith. You know, like someone comes looking in, like, a haunted house, and they're looking for the hey, I've come to see the A-Team. Well, dear, what's come for? I don't know them guys. And he does a whole fucking Shakespearean actor bit. And then at the end he goes, puts a fucking cigar and he goes, you've just hired the A-Team. It's like that, Dave. I'm sorry. The effects are terrible. I am not letting this effort off with anything, irrespective of how old it is. And it shows how good George Lucas was, because he manipulated so much, didn't he? You know, you've got the pictures in Return of the Jedi of all the stormtroopers in the, you know, the start in the base and everything. all stuff that as a kid you were like, wow, this looks, how did they get all them people in there? How is it so shiny? Because it's a picture. I mean, Superman 2, when he has the fight with General Zod, that's clearly toy cars when he's destroying New York or Metropolis. But this is on a different level for me. I fucking hated this every minute. So anyway, I'm not shooting my load, Dave,
well,
too much.
For that first, shoot of the movie, that was one of the criticisms from the producers. They said it looked like a cheap 50s horror movie. So they put whatever that was in the bin, and this is what they were happy with.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Right, Dave, shall we get into our trailer?
Let's go.
Marooned on a desolate planet, he is a soldier. Alone with his enemy.
Don't you understand English, toad face? I don't love you and you don't love me. We're stranded here, you understand?
His suspicion will change to tolerance.
You saved my life. Why?
I need to look at another face, even as ugly as yours.
Tolerance will lead to friendship.
We should open up a little place here. I could ruin the food. You could scare away the customers.
And with that friendship will come an overwhelming responsibility.
You must be a parent.
Don't kid around, Jerry.
You must take my place.
Protecting a life he values more than his own. Dennis Quaid, Louis Gossett Jr., Wolfgang Petersen's Enemy Mine.
In the late 21st century, an interstellar war between humans and Dracs is fought. Battles are periodically fought between fighter spacecraft, and no human hates the Dracs more than Willis Davidge, played by Dennis Quaid. During one battle, Davidge and a Drac pilot engage in a dogfight which results in them both crash landing on Fyrine IV. After initial hostiles, where they viciously hurt one another, the two learn to cooperate to survive. Over the next 3 years they become friends, each saving each other's lives several times. Now, Chris, what do you reckon to the opening of this movie?
So,
You've already said your famous line, haven't you?
it's fucking bullshit, this movie. It's on for 108 minutes, an hour and 48, Dave. And for me, it run about an hour and 42 long because I've got to give maths credit, Dave. We've not had one recently. And because I'd never heard of it, I was like, what is this? Is going to be terrible. I mean, the fact we've had two sci-fi movies 2 weeks in a row, Dave, as well. There's got to be some questions asked. You know what I mean? I mean, Aliens was good, and Aliens is a fucking masterpiece. I'd put that straight to Cloud City now if it was a cut between the two. But I think what gets to me is the concept of time in this. Now, 3 years is a long time. Dennis Quaid's fucking beard doesn't grow like it would for 3 years, Dave, because he's got nowhere to shave. He's all clean cut at the start. You know, Jeriba, who's Louis Gossett's character, within about, I don't know what the time scale is because his hair doesn't really change, but literally he learns English. He learns Mickey Mouse, shit. And then the next scene, Dennis Quaid speaking alien. And I'm like, oh my fucking days. How is this even possible? I mean, you've got, I said to you, there's a Tom Hanks film where he's got Wilson and what's it called?
Castaway.
Castaway. It felt a bit like that with a beard and that. But it was just terrible. The whole execution of this movie. And I kept texting you going, I don't fucking believe this. Like, what is this effort? The fact that the leaps, and I know it is over a period of time because you do see his hair change. I get that. I'm not being a complete dickhead, but honestly, I hated every single minute of this. I was just like, this is not what I've signed up for. But it is what I've signed up for. There you go.
Well, honestly, as soon as it started, and that first 15 minutes, I popped in our Patreon chat, didn't I? I said, I've got a feeling Chris is going to give me the hairdryer treatment after this, because the dogfight, and again, it's just, there are so many pieces out of this just ripped from Star Wars. Even when we get to the mine later, there's a guy in like a yellow suit, an orange kind of jumpsuit, and it's like, well, he looks like an X-Wing pilot. And then he's dressed up like fucking Indiana Jones. It's like, it's like the kid from Toy Story just playing with all his favourite toys. But yeah, I thought the effects were pretty bad for the dogfight. And anything that was kind of animated, I thought was pretty horrendous. I don't know if they'd really kind of run out of money by that point. And so they just had to get all the post-production effects, added. Because if you look at all of the different scenery that they've had to create, I mean, it's very clear when you're in a studio and you can see all the rocks and, the kind of lake that had been built, or little puddle. And then when it's a painting, it's so obvious. But as the movie went on, I think the thing is with sci-fi, Chris, quite often you're watching the story, but you're thinking about, well, what is this really saying? I can see what's happening on the screen, but what is it really talking about? And I think, given this was mid-80s, you're still in the middle of the Cold War there. So I was thinking, well, maybe this is kind of like, the Americans and the Russians. That's kind of what it is. But it takes a bit of a turn where they're talking about religion. They both have completely different religions. And then, so I started to think, well, is it saying more about kind of colonialism? And the alien, he's speaking this funny kind of language, and both races kind of hate each other. And, Dennis Quaid comes in all guns blazing. He's a bit of a bell end, isn't he? He's not going to be very good at surviving on his own. Can't find any food. He's just interested in killing off the Drac. So, yeah, I thought he was saying quite a bit more about the colonialism. And even though they hate each other, they're taught to hate each other. Everything, all the propaganda. You should hate each other. They actually find, through having to survive together, that they've actually got a lot more in common than they first thought. So I think thinking about all of this stuff had me enjoying it. Once we got out of the initial act, if you like, and where they're fighting each other and the shitty special effects, I started to enjoy it a bit more.
Dave, if I could see you now, I'd be doing the old Clark Gable. Get out. Fucking get out. No, it's not Clark Gable, actually. Well, just get out. Robert Mitchum, I think it is. But anyway, Dave, listen. I think you're onto something there. I'll tell you what it reminded me of. Like when you see the war films, and even you remember the famous football game? They made an advert of it, John Lewis, the truce of 1914, where the German and Allied troops ended up playing football
together now.
Yeah. You know that sort of.
It, didn't they?
Yeah. So you've got the whole thing of like people realizing that no matter what side of the fight on, you're just normal. But it's like football rivalry, isn't it? Me and you have got two of the biggest teams in the UK who absolutely despise each other on and off the pitch. But when you're like a fucking closest friend and we will rip the piss out of each other. That's what football's about. But you still have we've got a lot in common, haven't we? You know what I mean? So I think that's what the message is. That's what the message is. It doesn't matter what your cultural background is. There is something you need to coexist with somebody. You do, like at work. There's plenty of people where we all work where you think you're an absolute bellend, but you've got to work with them because you need to earn some money. So you've got to coexist. So I think that's the underlying message. However, that's the only credit I'm giving this movie, Dave. I'm not going down. I'm not agreeing with it at all because I tell you why, Dave. I'm telling you why now. This movie is literally 90 minutes of just these two tossing each other off having this shit relationship where they're just, I fell down a fucking cliff, or the thing
surviving. That's what they're doing.
Dave,
They're
I hate stuff like this. They're
developing a bond. I tell you,
fucking bond. Right? They've even nicked that thing out of Return of the Jedi. That thing he fell down.
It was the Sarlacc
made an appearance.
It's fucking the one that saw off Boba Fett.
Boba Fett, yeah.
Yeah, it was. I mean, there's so much, isn't there? Just ripped completely from Star Wars, unashamedly. But I do remember that bit quite vividly, and it was a bit of a rip-off. But again, it's this harsh terrain that they're trying to survive in, and they develop that friendship. I think I've got to tell people, right? So we spoke about this yesterday. And we were talking about the fact, so the Dracs are asexual, so they don't need a partner. They don't have males and females. They don't need a partner to procreate or whatever. But I think you said to me, did he fuck the alien or what?
I'm sure there's some movies on certain sites you can watch that sort of stuff, Dave, but yeah.
It kept repeating on me through the day, and I just kept chuckling to myself, like, the tenderness of this bromance and everything is completely lost, and you're buried in the literal, like, trying to unpack, well, how could this happen? Well, he must have fucked him.
Oh my God, it was unbelievable. But it was also like the little lines about, like, Quaid's character, Willis, is like, it's that book you're reading. And I'm like, oh, fucking leak. He's even taught him to read now in 3 years. It's like unbelievable. But we don't get anything, Dave. That's what I'm saying. So, honestly, this film runs for nearly 80 minutes before we get any action. And then, obviously, they don't, because not Willis, what's he called? Louis Gossett's character, Jeriba, ends up dying. That's where we get the little character. Jerry. So we'll call him Jerry, because he is called Jerry. Sorry. So we've got Jerry. He snuffs it, saving, obviously, Willis. We've got one of these dying scenes that goes on for ages where you think he's going to go. He doesn't. Then like he goes Deadpool. Again. No, he doesn't. But then, Dave, and I messaged you on this with the video, we then get this baby. As you said, he's asexual. I was completely wrong. There wasn't any "how's your father" off camera. I completely missed that. Bit like what I did last week when I said that guy, why is he no blood? And you're like, because...
you had to... I was listening on the edit, and you had a couple of crackers. So you were saying, why? There was no blood anywhere. Well, he's a fucking robot.
Yeah, he's a robot.
What was the other one? There was something else, like a major plot point, which... Oh, how do they know whether it's night or day? I think was
yeah. Right, shush, Dave. There's no need for this. But when this baby thing comes, the easiest way is he brings the baby up that knows no different, and it can speak English. It loves American football. It's even got like the Joe Montana numbers on, the 29 and all that crap, and he's playing American football with it. And I'm like, this is like fucking Fraggle Rock. It's like an episode of the Muppets or something. What the fuck am I watching here? It's not even like there was anything gripping about it. It's a fucking kid dressed as an alien running round, and I'm supposed to believe that they've got this father and son bond. I was like, and then, honestly, when they finally bump into the bad guy, and one of the bad guys is the guy of 48 Hours, he's always a baddie. He's what was he in? We did something as well. We've reviewed, and he's a baddie
like
in it.
Ginger, wasn't he? Oh.
Yeah. Oh, he had a Cockney accent. He had a Cockney accent. Oh, what was it?
It was like a dual. Was it Tango and Cash?
Tango and Cash. That's it. Yeah, great call. Yeah. That's him again. Yeah, he's always a baddie. Always a baddie. He pops up from nowhere. And he's like throwing the kid around like it's a doll. The way he's got some strength, Dave. I've got to give him that. He's picking it up and he's lobbing the kid, and the kid scratches his face. And then, though, Dave, when they actually get hold of Dennis Quaid and they rescue him as what they think, he gets a full shave, manicure, his hair. He actually de-ages himself 3 years there as well, straight away.
He has a shave, doesn't he? And cuts his hair. There's no de-aging. This is the Christian Bale level of de-aging. Or
side parts his hair.
What's the Clark Kent Henry Cavill.
Henry Cavill, yeah.
He's like 18, but he's still 30, really.
I love that.
But, yeah, I don't know. I couldn't quite remember this end bit. I mean, it changes a bit in tone, doesn't it? And I kind of forgotten the fact that Louis Gossett Jr. dies off pretty early on. Or at least it's about halfway through, isn't it? So they developed this bond. And I thought they did it really well where, you know, I mean, they've got to be humanoid. That's like the Star Wars and Star Trek trick, isn't it? Most of them have got to be humanoid. And if they're so alien, like Jabba the Hutt or something, then you've got to be doing, you know, puppets and all sorts. So I thought it played really well. But I'll tell you what I was thinking. Now you've obviously you've had a daughter, Chris. I've got 3 kids, and I thought, literally stranded on a planet, they've got such an affectionate relationship that they the kid looks up to, you know, his dad with this sense of wonder, you know, and he's wanting to have the 5 fingers. He wants to be more like his dad and stuff. I was thinking, that's like no kid that I know. They're like, Dad, what the fuck are you doing, sort of thing. And I just thought that bit was the most unrealistic bit for me out of this whole damn movie. But yeah, I couldn't quite remember what happened at the end, because when, you know, I mean, they think Willis is dead, don't they? They've nicked the kid, and then they've shot Willis, and then or Davidge, and then I couldn't remember it after that, because it kind of loses me. It then becomes like a rescue mission, doesn't it? And I feel like the whole tone of the movie just changes a bit. Like it. If you're going to tell this story about, you know, people at the ground level kind of developing this this bromance, this relationship, and, you know, it's a tale of survival that's brought them together and stuff, I don't necessarily think they needed a lot of the things that went on at the end with the whole rescue mission thing. It's like he was trying to tell this really deep story, and then like the last act of it is like a rescue mission. It's like, oh, we've got to have a bit of action in there, haven't we? Because, you know, it's a big budget movie.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I did lose it at that point, because when obviously all the aliens, what are you laughing at? You're like,
no, I'm like, you never had it.
No, yeah. No, never had any interest in it. But look, I say it every week, and I think you said, so we were talking about it yesterday, and I said to you, and I said, look, what's going on with the vocal? And you said, yeah, but the thing is, it's like any of these movies, they always have an English-American accent, don't they?
Yeah.
Because obviously they've got to relate it to the audience as well. I'm like completely thinking realistic here. Well, that's ridiculous. But it's like, well, yeah, it does, because nobody can understand it. It's almost like you've got another child when it comes to films like this with me, Dave, because I'm literally like, my attention just drops, and I'm just sat there like, grinding my teeth. Like, this is ridiculous. But I love the fact that we just talk about it. That's the whole point of this. It is like, when we were saying this yesterday, it's like running a marathon, but at the end of it, Dave, you get a little medal, or you get the fact that I've run a marathon. It feels like that sometimes. Like, you've got to go through the shit to get to the good bit, and the good bit's when we talk about it. And yeah, I do, honestly, because the story's, it's followable, the story until the end. And then it goes Buck Rogers, Dave. It goes proper daytime TV sci-fi stuff. And I used to watch all that Buck Rogers, Battlestar Galactica, all of them, other than the odd Star Trek. But I did watch all that, and it felt like a plot straight from a daytime stuff. And I lost complete interest in it at that point. You know, it felt like they were trying to go for like this massive vista, this massive area, the effects and that, and I just felt it just completely fell off. And I don't think Dennis Quaid, I mean, look, Dave, Dennis Quaid is no fucking Hugh Jackman. Dennis Quaid is certainly not someone who can throw a punch, because the fighting at the end is proper ridiculous. He's like pantomime stuff, the fighting at the end, when he's like throwing him in these buckets in the iron place, and there's all this molten lava there and all this.
The mine, you mean?
Yeah, the mine. Sorry, the mine. That's what I meant. Yeah, the steel mine or whatever it is. But it didn't hit for me at all. I know we've come so far. 36 years later, we've got MMA incorporated stuff, proper boxing and stuff like that. You know, we did Death Warrant a couple of weeks ago, and obviously Death Warrant is, you know, Van Damme. Even when you watch it now, you're like, I might love the film, but it's so telegraphed. You could fucking sit there and write a novel by the time he throws and some of them kicks and punches. You'd have Van Damme on the deck if you could actually fight in real life. But it's all for the movie. So I get that. It's not supposed to be like because what was really jarring as well is Dennis Quaid is just ripping off Harrison Ford and Han Solo. The way he speaks, he's trying to drop the wisecracks in. The tone of his voice is almost like he sat there and just watched Han Solo in the Star Wars stuff, because I felt the cadence of his voice, and that was just absolutely the double of him in it. And none of the jokes hit. He wasn't as smart ass as Han Solo, but I felt that he was inspired by Harrison Ford in his character.
Yeah. I mean, no more so than when he puts on, you know, one of the miners, you know, he puts on their outfit, and then he turns back around to the camera in that classic kind of, it's that Indiana Jones shot, isn't it?
Yes.
Right at the start of Raiders of the Lost Arks, where he just sort of turns back around to look, not directly into the camera, but just sort of past the camera. And I was like, oh, fucking hell, you are taking the piss now. Surely, you know, fucking Spielberg should be after you for, you know, copyright. And, yeah, like I say, so much was ripped off from Star Wars. Dennis Quaid and the directors were clearly channeling kind of Han Solo for this character as well. I just think, you know, for sci-fi movies around this time, just everything was influenced by Star Wars, I think.
Yeah, I do as well. I mean, look, he's got a fucking Flashers Mac on as well, Dave, at one point. Like I said, that outfit when he turns, it's a fucking 3/4 length leather coat he's got on. I mean, he must have been fucking roasting in that mine. Absolutely roasting. But the hat, everything, you're right, there's a lot of inspiration there. And look, there's nothing wrong with that, because Return of the Jedi had been out a couple of years before this, hadn't it? You know, at that point, we thought that was the end of the trilogy, didn't we? We didn't think they were going to make any more.
Yeah.
So,
and it was really.
Yeah, it was really till the late 90s, 98.
Great point, right? When he's having his arse handed to him, and, you know, they've shoved the kid into the, you know, little container, and they're just about to get dumped into lava, didn't half remind me of, like, Revenge of the Sith?
Yes.
And I thought, I wonder if, you know, Lucas saw this and was like, I really like this aesthetic, you know, setting it in a mine and everything. It really reminded me, that bit of Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah. The setting, the vista of it all, Dave. You know, when Anakin's there, isn't he, when he's been in it and he's pulling himself up. Yeah, I agree. And like I say, if he did, then George Lucas ripped him off, sort of thing. So it's a great spot, that. But no, look, it's just one of them weird sci-fi shitty films that if I'd seen it on a Sunday afternoon or Saturday afternoon, I'd literally gone, well, let's see what's on the other channel. Blankety Blank, I'll watch that instead, Dave. Little House on the Prairie, I'll watch that, no problem. But it is, if you're into that thing, and I completely understand, irrespective of me shitting on it, I can understand why you liked it. You love these sort of movies. I can see why it's a bit of a classic for people as well, because look, when we were younger, we had absolutely nothing to watch, did we? And sometimes, I mean, look at me with Eat My Dust. We rented it from the video shop, and I rented it a few times, and it's an awful movie. But when you've never seen it, so I think what I love about what we do with the VHS Strikes Back is that we've gone into video shops with either different mindsets, different movies that you love. Like I say, I've watched so many. We watched our sweet spot together is the martial arts stuff. A lot of the iconic stuff we watch. But then you go down your own rabbit hole. So I love all the action stuff. So I've got more, as you see, every time I did the Van Damme stuff, all the action stuff. It's all, and to be fair, I always said to him, my granddad was terrible. I'd get him so riled up when we got a video out that he'd let me do anything. But I always had to get some of that pretty much didn't have any sex in, because if it had sex in it, and well, my nan and granddad were fucking religious, my mum's mum and dad, but they were just prudes, I think. And he'd be like, right, fast forward it. You know what I mean? Like I told you, God forbid Pulp Fiction when I watched that time. Jesus Christ. But they turned it off at the start of it. I was 16 when that got. I'll never forget the start when she gets and goes, I'm going to kill every last motherfucking one of you.
Oh,
right, we're not watching this.
There. Well, that was a lucky escape. It could have been when fucking Marcella Wallace was getting ploughed, couldn't it?
It's funny you should say that, Dave, and this is not a coincidence. This is not a lie. when we used to get movies out, they wouldn't watch it. And not because they wouldn't let me watch it. I just get up early and watch it in the morning, just sit there like right next to the video player because you couldn't have it on loud. They'd be in bed because they lived in like a 2-bedroom flat. And this sounds like I've made this up, I've fabricated this story. I promise you I've not fabricated. You know what I'm going to say? I watched it. And I watched it the next day, and then it was about 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning.
I think you might have told me.
Yeah, you know exactly what. And I watched Pulp Fiction the other week. Funny enough, Dave, I've not seen it for ages. I watched it the other week. I watched it a couple of years, and it was that exact bit when fucking Bruce Willis comes down with the samurai and they're ploughing Marcella Wallace, and I'm like, oh my fucking god! And she walked in, my nan, and she's like, "What do you want for breakfast?" And I'm like, sausage, I don't know. It was just one of them
he's
moments,
watching gay porn again.
Yeah. No wonder he got up early. You know what I mean? It's like, holy fucking shit.
Wasn't quick enough with the press-ups this time.
Oh, I've got to tell you a story. I've got to tell you a story, right? So, we had this is pretty similar. My other nana and granddad, my mum's mum and dad. My granddad's still alive. That's the thing. My dad's mum and dad, my dad's dead, my granddad, but his mum's alive. She's 92, as you know, I look after her. But my mum's mum and dad, my nana died, but my granddad's still alive. He's at 83. My granddad, he's from Ireland, completely just in a different world, Dave. You think I'm laid back at times. This guy is just on a different fucking level. It'll take you 3 hours to get him out the door. You know, he's terrible, my granddad. So laid back and just like lethargic. Anyway, he'd been working shifts, right? So I was 16. So he used to always stay at my nan's when I was 16. So my nana, this is where I get it from. She gets up. She used to get up all the time at 4, 5 o'clock, even at weekends, everything. She was terrible for getting up, right? So me and my grandma were watching a film and that, and he went, oh, I'm going to have to go to bed. I've been working like days, I think he'd worked at the time, 12 hours. He goes to bed about 11. My nana's in bed, and I'm thinking, and they had like, the stairs, their rooms above the back, the hallway. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, oh, hang on, what have I got in my bag? Now, there may have been, adult-only VHSs I had, Dave, in the bag. That may be one of the reasons I stayed at my nana's, because I'm the oldest of 9 kids. There's no way I could throw one out. Wank. Yeah, I could have a crafty one. Or as I call it, Dave, a danger wank. But there you go. So I put this movie on, which was called... Fucking hell. It was called Buttman, Dave, right? So I'm watching it and I'm enjoying myself. And my nan had one stair where you could hear the creak. So I used to have the door just open with the volume down. But she didn't have like a door between the living room and the front room. She had like curtains, big 6-foot curtains or 7-foot curtains across. Right. They're still there now. I went the other week because my granddad had knocked them down. I had to go and fix them. Dave, I'm not joking. I was like... a fucking long jumper. I heard this thing. I vaulted to the VHS. My fucking pants are halfway fucking up my leg, and I'm trying to. My nana comes in, and I'm just lay there across the floor looking at the telly. You know, I don't know what the fuck was on. Fucking sweating my bollocks off. You know, like absolutely.
Have you got your fucking pants off?
Yeah, well, pretty much. She went. I mean, Nana was dead, like sort of like proper. Old Trafford, voice. She's like, what are you doing? She's like, what are you doing? I heard a noise. And I'm thinking, fuck me, it wasn't from me. I was trying everything I could not to make a noise. And I'm like, oh, it's fine, yeah. Absolutely bottled it, Dave. It was, honestly, it was if she'd have walked in through that curtain, I'd have been fucking, oh my God. I'd never have lived that down.
You know what I've got in my mind is, when David Brent is doing his picture poses, like when he's just before the motivational speech and he's like sort of lay down on the floor, like just casually. Fuck me.
Fucking, I've got more, but I'm not even revealing them today.
Well, I'm sure there's plenty of stories for our next poll review, Chris, but we'll talk about that one after we've finished off this one.
It's the one, Dave.
So yeah, I mean, the end of the story, it actually finishes quite abruptly, I think. So he rescues the kid, all very emotional and stuff, and, the Dracs, all of the enslaved Dracs, they know of Uncle, they've heard the stories and stuff, and so they end up, the lineage is very important to the Dracs, and that was one of the bits of dialogue that we heard earlier in the movie, because like as a human he's like, yeah, I kind of know, roughly where I'm from, but not very much, whereas the Dracs treat this like very seriously. And so at the end of the movie, they go to the Holy Council, and then Willis Davidge is added to the line of Jerry. And so I thought that was quite a touching moment. Again, like I say, it's a bit of a message of going up against colonialism and, the kind of US and USSR whole Cold War thing, or wasn't just the US, like Britain were in there as well. So yeah, I thought it ended quite abruptly, but, I thought it finished on a hopeful message at the end there.
Yeah. Not
Chris,
just tell you some wanking stories.
Should we just get into our final review? Chris, go ahead, do your worst.
Well, Dave, this is terrible. I don't know whether it's the worst thing I've ever seen, but it's the worst thing I've seen in the last 5 or 6 weeks. It's fucking rubbish. It is just utter fodder that I would never, ever watch. Big thanks to Mafso, great guy, and I love the fact that he knew where this was going. He's been at me a little bit on the Discord, and he's, so you liked it, did you? And all this, but it's just rubbish. I don't like it. Dennis Quaid is absolute garbage. He's literally got the acting skills. I always say it now, Dave. This is my saying, but he's got the acting skills of an IKEA fucking wardrobe. He's terrible. He's got no fighting skills. That's more down to the fight choreography. I know that. Louis Gossett Jr., yeah, forgettable in this, Dave, completely. The little fucking kid, awful. The prosthetics is straight out the A-Team, Hannibal Smith. And the actual bit at the start where he's shooting things was almost like he'd ripped it off an Atari computer game, and I was like, oh, this is terrible. And the whole Han Solo skit he was going for completely missed for me. So for me, Dave, I'm glad it's based in space, because it's aptly to put it right up there with in Alderaan, Dave, because it's going to get, I nearly said Phantom Zone then, Dave.
Yeah,
Alderaan. Yeah, I nearly said it. I was wobbling then. You could hear the hesitation. Alderaan, and hopefully this planet does get blown up, Dave, because I will never watch this nonsense ever again. So, what about yourself, Dave?
When this film started, I thought, oh God, this is going to be a rough watch, and this is just not going to hold up at all. And I don't think the effects really did. I think the amount that it cost is just, it's one of those. They just ultimately made a movie and then threw away the whole thing pretty much and made it again. So it's kind of like half of what the actual budget was. And I think there is, a good movie in there. Now, I still couldn't really put my finger on what I liked about it, but it's something about the deeper messages I think it says about like human beings and kind of how we interact, how we can easily demonize things that we don't understand, and actually we've probably got more in common than we initially think. So I think it was more on that kind of theme that I enjoyed it. But it's not as if, like Chris, last week when we were watching Aliens, I was like on the edge of my seat, and I'm like loving the different iconic lines that he got in there, loving how great it looks, loving the tension, the action. Whereas this one, it's just more of a kind of, it's all right, kind of thing. So when I'm saying I'm enjoying it, that's the level that I'm enjoying it. So for me, this one is a middle of the road. This is a hill valley. I won't be in a massive rush to watch it again, but it is one of those that, once it's finished playing, it does play on my mind a bit about, okay, what is it really saying? So the fact that it occupies my mind space for a bit longer once the film's finished, then that means it's hit me, it's resonated with me in some way. I'm waiting for the what do you say? It's not Clark Gable. It's the other one. It's like, get out.
I've gone, Dave. I'm just listening to you, thinking we've definitely been watching different movies. This is almost like you watching Double Impact. We're watching Death Warrant.
But did you see Glenn's message on Twitter?
He did the same. Hard Target.
No, not quite the same, but he watched fucking Hard Target instead.
Brilliant.
We got this three-way fucking thing where we're all like, oh, you saw that bit where they explained Van Damme's accent? Yeah, we all saw that. Did you see that bit where he had a romantic interest through no build-up whatsoever? Yeah, we saw that. Did you see the splits? Yeah, we saw that. We all saw the same thing, just different movies.
Oh, it's fucking brilliant. And it shows how bad Van Damme is, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, how many tropes he's got in all those movies, but yeah, Hard Target. That's the one where he's got that iconic mullet, isn't it? Hard Target, I'm pretty sure
brilliant.
It is.
Absolutely brilliant.
But Chris, for next week's review, we have gone back to the polls, and I thought we'd be a bit silly because I'm pretty sure all of these movies will age pretty terribly because, Chris, we are going back to the late 70s, early 80s, and we are going for a theme of high school hijinks movies. Now, in our list, we had Porky's, we had Meatballs, we had Revenge of the Nerds, and Back to School. So all of these are kind of the kind of inspiration for the American Pie movies. So we did that one, didn't we, a little while ago now. And Chris, the winner was Porky's. And so let's get into the trailer.
20th Century Fox would like to introduce you to Pee-wee and his pals.
Big and horny mother.
Tommy, Mickey, Tim,
What's going tonight, right? I don't know.
and the biggest man on campus.
Why do they call you meat? Because it's so big?
When they're not in class, they're into everything.
Save your energy, you're gonna need it.
Okay. Okay, pull over. Coast is clear.
But what they'd like to get into most is a place called Porky's.
I left my idea. Here, use this one. That's my Bible school card.
Unfortunately, we can only show you the outside of Porky's, because what goes on inside is not to be believed.
Boy, the locker room. Oh, it turned me on.
We'd like to show you more of the locker room, but this kind of physical education just isn't taught. We can't show you more of the shower scene, because what they're looking at isn't watered down.
They want us to look. They want us to look.
Porky's. You too will be back for a second look.
Okay, I'm ready.
Well, Dave, I am excited about this one because it is a special VHS that I may have had in a fake VHS cover so that nobody in my house knew that I had it, Dave, because there'd be no logical reason as a 13-year-old child why I would have Porky's, Dave, because I don't think even my old man had seen it. But I did acquire it and put it in something, probably an ex-rental movie that I knew that none of them were going to open. And I even think I ripped the tag off the movie, Dave. But we'll save that for next week anyway. So there you go. But anyway, big thank you to everyone. Big thank you to Maths for picking that. Well, thanks a lot, mate. Great to talk about whatever I think of the movie. And as always, the roll call of honour for our amazing patrons. Thank you for supporting us. If you get over there, patreon.com/the VHS Strikes Back. So big thanks to Paul, Mark, Carl, Matt, Heath, Haley, Dylan, Ken, Lucky Lulu Green, Dan, Jax, Math, Blake, John Hammond, Brent from the Cinema Chat podcast, and Tony Farina. Sorry, Dave, I was completely tongue-tied then, so I apologise. If you want to follow us on social media, at VHS Strikes Back. If you want to email us, thevhsstrikesback@gmail.com. And if you do get a chance, guys, please get onto your podcast catching up and just drop me and Dave a review on the show. We just really appreciate it. It helps us get up there in them charts. So, Mr. Horrocks, I am not taking us out in this episode because you have seen this effort before. I hope you've been on IMDb while I've been talking. What are you going to take us out with today?
Well, I was looking at the different quotes. There is one like Earthman, your Mickey Mouse is one big stupid dope. You said about Louis Gossett Jr. being forgettable. I thought his delivery underneath all of that makeup was probably the standout for me. The expressions of the voice, the way he's kind of talking in that alien-esque kind of way, I thought was great. But no, I'm afraid I have been scouring for quotes, and there just isn't a good one. So great stuff, mate. We all knew where this was going for you, but we just enjoy putting you through it. So thanks for bearing with us, mate. And we'll see you next week.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
That's it, man. It's game over, man. It's game over. What the fuck are we gonna do now? What are we gonna do?
Maybe we could build a fire, sing a couple of songs, huh? Why don't we try that?
We better get back, because it'll be dark soon, and they mostly come at night. Mostly.
I'll be back.
That's odd.
We came, we saw, we kicked its ass.
Wax on, wax off.
Get to the chopper!
One ring to go. All right. Ding, ding.
Bust you up. Go for it.
Well, here we go. Ain't so bad. Ain't so bad. Ain't so bad. Come on. Ain't so bad. You ain't nothing. Come on. You must be crazy or something. I'm crazy. You just a stupid fool. Yeah, maybe you crazy. I ain't breathing heavy. He's a fool. He's stupid. I've seen you in 6 months.